Hey, what's going on, everybody? How are you there? Hopefully you're doing good. Today we're going to be taking a look at a game that revolutionized the way that we play adventure titles. Now personally, I don't think that there's much more that I could say about Maniac Mansion that hasn't already been said already. That's why I'd like to focus on the game's development, the impact that it left on the genre as a whole, and a couple of the more interesting quirks along the way. So without any further ado, let's play some damn games. Maniac Mansion was a game that I originally read about in Nintendo Power back when I was a kid, and I gotta say, if there was one thing that damn magazine did right, it was that it managed to make every game it featured look like it was the best thing ever. The cover picture reminded me of something out of a Tim Burton movie, and the illustrations just kicked ass. But looking back, this was a pretty ahead of its time experience that tells a story based off of several B-horror cliches, where a sentient meteor with homicidal tendencies crash lands in the backyard of a mansion out in the middle of nowhere and brainwashes a mad scientist named Dr. Fred into kidnapping people so that the meteor can switch minds with a human and take over the world. Interesting. The opening scene is where you pick two characters to go with the main character Dave on this little B&E adventure, and depending on who you choose, it opens up different possibilities to play and finish the game. Nice. Dave's pretty useless, but he's the main character, so we're stuck with the denim dipshit no matter what. Then we have Sid and Razor, who are both musicians, Michael the school photographer, Wendy the school magazine editor, Bernard the resident nerd, and Jeff the surfer. The easiest way to get through this game is just taking Bernard and one of the musicians, and we'll take Razor so it's not a total snossage fest. Most adventure games for the time period were played by walking up to something, opening up a command line, and then typing out the appropriate action like open door or pick up whatever. But Maniac Mansion uses its own engine called Scum, and from my understanding, it has all the actions preloaded in a bar below, so all you have to do is just click on whatever action that you want to do, and then click on whatever object that you want to interact with, and bam, easy peasy. The commands listed in the game seem to cover all the bases, but a lot of these options are just kind of unnecessary. I mean, seriously, they could have just taken like 7 of these and condensed it under the use option, and then you could just fill up the leftover space by putting in some sort of... Oh, well, that's much better. Basically, you navigate around the mansion by pointing and clicking and trying to avoid getting captured by Dr. Fred's family, who are just as batshit nuts as he is. Nurse Edna is just an old pervert, and after reading most of her dialogue, it kind of makes you wonder why she was in the fridge at the beginning of the game looking for old battery... Oh, never mind, I don't even want to know. And then you have the son named Weird Ed, who's worried about his dad's behavior since the meteor crashed in the backyard. My favorite characters are the tentacles. The purple one is the obedient servant to Dr. Fred that somehow always winds up making an ass out of himself. And the green tentacle guards the second floor and is always bitching and moaning about being hungry or about how his band is never going to get off the ground. If Ed or Edna catch you wandering around, they'll throw you home invading ass in the dungeon below, but avoiding the family really isn't too difficult, because aside from a couple scenes in the beginning of the game, they mostly just stay in their rooms the whole time. And it's kind of disappointing, because not having to worry about being caught just makes the game a little on the easy side. I mean, I could see how getting interrupted in the middle of backtracking might get annoying, but honestly, if I was sitting at home and the circuit breakers just started turning on and off randomly and chandeliers were falling down and it sounded like someone was recording music down the hallway, I'd probably go check that one out. Now, the main thing you need to do is gain access to Dr. Fred's lab by finding the glowing key to unlock the padlocks in the basement. Sounds pretty simple, right? Well, the glowing key is sitting at the bottom of the swimming pool outside, and the only problem with that is that the pool is being used to keep the nuclear reactor from overheating. So what you have to do is first you need to get past the green tentacle on the second floor by feeding him every last bit of food in the house, or you can just throw a bowl of wax fruit his way, and that does the... Oh fuck, now he wants a drink. What the hell does walking hentai even drink? Well, he can have a juice box because he sure as shit isn't getting any of my Pepsi. Alright, now that he's taken care of, you have to go up to Dead Cousin Ted's room and use his gym to get pumped up so that you can rip open the grate outside of the house. Once you get someone down by the water pump, you switch over to one of the other kids to get him to the backyard, but the door is locked. Well, here's a yellow key and the back door is yellow, so process of elimination, right? What the fuck? Well, what other keys are there? Alright, here's one in the chandelier. Now to get that down, you have to send someone into the library to grab a cassette tape, run up to the Green Tentacles room and grab the record that he has laying there. I have no idea why we'd just have a copy of Tentacle Mating Calls laying out in the... So you take the record and the cassette into the music room, you record the Tentacle Mating Calls sound to the cassette, you take the cassette down to the living room where you play it in the stereo. That sound breaks the glass in the room and knocks the chandelier down, and now we have the old rusty key. Son of a bitch! Alright, let's look in the basement. Now to get down to the basement, you need one character to pull the gargoyle by the steps so that the doors open, and while they hold that, you send another kid through the door. Because if you try to do it by yourself, the door just slams shut. After fumbling around in the dark looking for the light switch, here's the silver key. Well, yeah, of course a silver key would open a big yellow door. Once you're in the backyard, you switch to the kid under the house and open the water valve so that it drains the pool. Then you switch back to the pool, go down the ladder, grab the key, grab the radio, and then you get the hell out of the pool as fast as possible so that you can switch back to the kid under the house and close the water valve before the house blows sky high. No pressure. Now, me just describing it alone does sound complicated and intimidating, but seriously, it's pretty easy to jump into and it's quite fun, so I dig it. Now, for as many ways as there are to win this game, there's just as many ways to lose, but honestly, you're gonna really have to go out of your way to screw up enough that you either die or get a game over, and compliments of a very generous save feature, it's really not a problem. In fact, I kind of recommend checking some of them out because they're pretty priceless. Oh no. Okay, so I go to the bathroom on the 3rd floor and I use the faucet that I found in the pantry to move dead cousin Ted to the side, which reveals a phone number that I need to distract Nurse Edna. I fixed the phone in the library to call Nurse Edna so that I could get creeped out by her bullshit and sneak past her and get up to the attic, and then I switched to another person to head up to the observatory to use the dimes that I stole out of Weird Ed's piggy bank so that I can rotate the observatory to read the combination to the safe in the attic. I've unlocked the safe, I've taken out the envelope, I've opened the envelope, and it's a fucking quarter. You know, the sad thing is that if I was using any other character right now, I'd automatically lose the game because this is one of those dead ends. Why? Because someone can't take a fucking envelope and open it up like a normal human being. Instead, they gotta go ahead and fucking Tasmanian devil the motherfucker up. That was my car insurance. Shit!
Super fashionable t-shirts, collectible buttons for accessorizing, incredibly niche posters for the basement or whatever. All this, and more coming soon, from the Adventuria Item Shop.
It turns out that other characters need that envelope and a stamp that they took off Weird Ed's package. Not that kind of package, you sick jackasses. I'm talking about the package that gets delivered shortly after the game starts. Anyways, this way you can mail either a music demo or a fixed manuscript so that you can get the Green Tentacle to be your friend or bribe the Meteor to stop being an asshole at the end of the game. Now, how are you supposed to open an envelope to get the quarter without damaging it? Easy. You just throw it in the microwave. Now that I've got the quarter, I have to use the paint remover to uncover the door hidden behind the splotch of paint to get to the other attic where I need to find the exposed wiring. Then I send a kid into the basement to switch off the circuit breaker so that I can fix the exposed wiring with the tools that I got out of the trunk of the Edsel that's parked in the garage using the yellow key. I switch the breakers back on, cause otherwise kaboom, and then we have to wait until Dr. Fred gets off of his ass and plays some Meteor Mess in the arcade room, so that once he's done, I can take that quarter, play the game to see the high score, which also happens to be the combination to the second door in the dungeon, and this is where who you've chosen and what you've done throughout the game determines exactly how things wind up in the end. I'm not going to spoil all the endings here because some of them are just too good to pass up. But personally, I kinda like the one where you grab that stupid meteor and throw his purple ass right in the trunk of the Edsel and blast him right the fuck into outer space. The NES version is the most well-known port, but the graphics and the gameplay were butchered by censorship and hardware limitations. Each character in this version comes with a CD player and their own unique theme song, which sounds awesome on paper, but there's just one little problem with it. The looping track that plays drowns out all the other sounds in the house, so fuck that, I'm turning it off. The graphics had to be completely redesigned to compensate for the NES's shortcomings, which looked like shit, even by 1987 standards. The game just wasn't as colorful and detailed compared to the other versions, and that's really a shame. Now the graphics I can live with, and I gotta say I admire their taste in shoes, but the censorship was absolutely ridiculous. Lines of dialogue and certain background images had to either be altered or completely removed to make the game adhere to Nintendo's policies on offensive material. And looking over the list, a lot of the things that they wound up cutting was either just nitpicking or a bunch of misunderstandings. One complaint Nintendo had was this line of dialogue, and okay, what's so bad about not coming to dinner? Well, according to the complaint, it's some sort of an allusion to cannibalism, and let's be real here. If you hear a sentence like that and your first thought is, wow, he must be eating people, you definitely need to have your fucking head checked out. Things like the meteor is going to be pissed being changed to the meteor is going to be mad, I can definitely understand that, but the idea of a prank call being rude and abusive behavior is just kind of silly to me. But the one thing that needed the most changing was in the family's arcade room. One of the machines was called Kill Thrill, and apparently kill is the worst word that you could use in a Nintendo game, so the developers just changed it to Muff Diver. And after Nintendo threw a shit fit about that, they changed it to Tuna Diver, which is just fucking horrific. But the best part is that Nintendo had absolutely no idea what it really meant. Holy shit.
Wait, there's more.
I think that's terrible.
So in the end, by busting the developers' balls, they wound up changing a pretty fucking innocuous word to a phrase that was way worse. So who really lost out on that one? And if anything, it just goes to show the hoops that game developers had to go through to get their stuff released on the NES. Ironically, in the Nintendo Power issue, there's a warning in one of the illustrations that says your brains will get sucked out, but that had to be edited out of the game, and that's just fucking hilarious. And if you look in the Howard and Nestor cartoon, it actually shows a picture of Nurse Edna cutting a chicken up with a chainsaw, and the next panel over shows Nestor imagining his own decapitated head. That's okay, but having the word kill is the worst thing that you could do. Yeah, right. At the end of the day, I think that Maniac Mansion was an important release for the time, because back then video games were still kind of a new thing. People didn't take it as seriously as they do now, and a lot of people thought that it was just a big waste of time. And yeah, it kind of is. But by implementing the Scum engine, they were able to simplify things down so that new players could jump into a new genre without dumbing things down for the veterans. Plus, you can also argue the logic that video games could be used as an effective storytelling tool. And that kind of an impact, you just can't ignore. As far as LucasArts goes, this is the game that launched their gaming division, and this is what spawned titles like Full Throttle, The Secret of Monkey Island, Sam & Max, Loom, Grim Fandango, Day of the Tentacle. I can just keep listing off all these awesome games that they put out until the studio had to close. You know, it's just, the impact was felt. I also think that it made Sierra step up their game, because at that point I think they were the only one releasing adventure games, and they were all serious games, like you were a cop on a big case, or you were a wizard in a cave going off to kill some dragon or some shit like that. This, on the other hand, actually injected humor, and it made it fun, and it wasn't afraid to poke fun at itself. And, you know, that to me was just absolutely awesome. I dig that sort of stuff. And even today, as far as I know, they're doing 2 remakes that are still yet to be released, on top of the remakes that have already been put out already. So, yeah, I think that it's definitely worth checking out at least once if you haven't already. And if you haven't already, what the fuck is wrong with you? Well, that's just gonna about do it for me. So as usual, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate your time and inviting me into your day like this. And I'm really sorry that this video came out so late. There was a lot of personal complications going on, and I couldn't get anything done. So I'm going to make it up to you, and I'm going to have a couple ROM hack releases coming out as soon as possible, hopefully within the next couple of days. So we'll see you really soon, and until then, I hope you're having a great week so far, and yeah, we'll see you real soon. Auf Wiedersehen, bye-bye now. Encoding overloading? Fuck you, motherfucker! Hey, what's going on, everybody? How are you there? Hopefully you're doing good. Development, the impact, and the quirks. Development, impact, quirks. Development, the impact, and the quirks. Someone's always got to complain about fucking something when I gotta record. Every single time I sit down to record, someone's got a fucking crisis. Shut up! Some of the more interesting quirks along the way, and the impact that it left on the genre as a whole. Why the fuck did you get that out of order? You just remembered the fucking way that you do it, you dumb fuck. Yeah. So, let's play some damn games already. I couldn't find the fucking pop-top. Son of a bitch. Revolutionize the way that we play Adventure Time. That's fucking horrific. I'm gonna be fucking done with this cam by the time I'm done recording the fucking intro. Hey, what's going on here? Oh god. This fucking caffeine crash. Woo!